to speak in favor of the virtual schools for the state of New Jersey and in support of the development of the NJPublicSchool.org. Before I begin my story as to why I have chosen to educate my child through a virtual school curriculum, I have a couple of questions for you all. Have you ever tried on a suit or a dress that you think is the absolute bomb, only to find out that when you put it on, it didn't quite fit? You pull, you tug, you tuck, but no matter what you do, it still doesn't fit. You know you probably shouldn't buy it, but you do anyway, thinking, I'll have that thing adjusted later, or, I'll fit into it sometime. Well, after a few months of collecting dust in your closet, you finally resolve to have it fitted and altered. It turns out acceptable, but it's not quite right. Then you suddenly realize, wait a minute, I can do this myself. I'm more familiar with all the ins and outs of my figure than anyone else. This is exactly how I feel about the responsibility of the education of my child. I know my children better than anyone else, and no matter how well intended an educator may be, I know best their ins and outs, their nuances, and their learning styles. The only difference here is that I can't allow my children to sit in a closet and collect dust while I attempt to find the right educational fit. With virtual academic programs, I don't have to make all those unnecessary and timely adjustments. Virtual education allows me to be in the driver's seat with my children's education as they progress at their own learning pace through the curriculum. My first experience with virtual education came as a result of my older child's educational struggles. After several years of pulling, tugging, skirting around issues, glossing over educational roadblocks, and a slew of private tutors, I was desperate to find a suitable educational system congruent to her learning style. My daughter, who is extremely bright, dealt with a daily barrage of bullying and teasing for several years at both public and private schools that significantly hindered her learning process. This is when we decided to try a more personalized educational system for her through virtual academies. She rapidly advanced in her grade level and beyond, and I'm happy to report that she's now in college and well on her way to a budding degree. Well, when we first moved with my family from Washington State to New Jersey, I must admit that I was very surprised to learn that New Jersey was not as forward-thinking as I had expected. My son, who had just finished the 3rd grade at Washington Academy of Virtual Schools, WAVA, W-A-V-A, was expecting to continue virtual schooling here. He had already far surpassed his grade level, taking in immense amounts of information on all sorts of topics. We were exceedingly disappointed when we were informed that virtual academies were not to be state-supported, as every other public school is. Regardless, we were determined to follow through with our virtual academies, and we have done such. Whenever I speak about virtual education, I'm always asked about the social aspect. I'm amazed as to how many parents pose this question first, rather than inquire as to the quality of the education being offered. In my opinion, I believe that social skills are also the parent's responsibility to develop and flourish. In my personal experience, I had one child that was an introvert and the other that the exact opposite. And no amount of public or private education will encourage a shy child to become less so, as was with my case, with my daughter, and also myself. It has to be a learned skill that is practiced on a regular routine. Virtual academies provide an unrestrained, stress-free, no-worry, non-violent, non-bullying, no snow days, transportation-free, at-your-own pace, homemade lunches, seize every moment educational opportunity environment that becomes immeasurable when at the end of the day, you know your child has gained the knowledge and competence necessary for their successful future. And it was all because of my concerted effort. I am here to respectfully request you to allow us the freedom of choice of our children's educational needs and to ask your support for approval next fall. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you. Can I come to your house for lunch?
Sure.
World because of all the different places I have seen and studied. I have learned so much of Virtual Academy since I started that contributes to my everyday life. I can't tell you how many times that I have heard or seen things that are familiar to me and that I can understand because I've already studied it. It makes me feel like I am closer to the world. I think learning should be fun for everyone. To quote a famous line from a song in a story of Mary Poppins, just a spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down in the most delightful way. To me, Virtual Academy is like eating a bowl of chocolate ice cream. It's sweet and creamy and delicious. I would greatly appreciate your support in improving Virtual Academy so that everyone who wishes can enjoy their freedom of choice in their education and have an awesome time learning, just like me. Just to let you know, my goal is to be President of the United States in 2036. Thank you.
All right, thank you. You did a phenomenal job, and you are very great. You told me you were 10, right?
Yes.
Wow, if I could only do that at 10. But Micah, I'm going to ask you a little bit about your childhood. Can you tell me a little bit about when you fell in love with books, or can you remember anything, like when you were 3 or 2 even? Tell me what your parents did for you.
Really, the way I actually started doing homework was I actually saw my sister starting to do homework at her house, and I said I think I want to start doing a little bit of homework and start learning a little bit about history and stuff like that. And so that's really how I started learning, and that was probably 3 or 4.
Did your parents read to you, Micah?
Yeah, there was a few things we did, like math and alphabet and stuff like that.
Can you remember any of your favorite books when you were younger?
I don't remember any certain books, but I do know that I read some books. I'm not sure what they are called though.
Well, Micah, I have to tell you, see, you're the one example now that's coming to me, because I do see an enthusiasm for learning. I'm glad that I met you today, because you're a person that's saying to me, I like to learn. When did you realize that you liked to learn?
About 4.
What do you do in your free time?
I really like to try and do a little bit of extra homework, to either catch up or get ahead. And some things are easier than others, and some things I need help on. But there's free time I would like doing a little bit of homework, and trying to get ahead.
Okay, now you heard us all talk about kids needing time to be with kids, and to talk and to play and have some fun. So tell me how that works out in your schedule, in your day, or week, or year.
Well, I do baseball, so I get a little bit of time with other kids there, and I go to religious school, so I get a little time there as well. I think that would be about it. Oh, and Cub Scouts.
Now the big one, okay. When did you start your use of technology? How did you know how to work that computer?
Be honest, I'm not sure myself actually. I just kind of learned, I started learning basically, I guess.
Well, you continue to impress me, and I just wanted to make sure if you're going to run for president that you can handle some of the tough questions that will come your way. You've done a very, very good job today. Does anybody on the panel have any question for Micah? Okay, Micah, then we're going to get another round of applause.
I'm asking a hard question.
Here it comes, here it comes.
Are you a geek? You know what that is, right?
Yeah, I do.
All right, the final question is, can you expedite the presidency thing? Because I did the math. It wasn't virtual, though, that I used to pen. 23 years, I'd be like 90. I want to be around and give you a hand, man, Very good